only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christys tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christys tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
we're back and we're ready for it all over again.
Jeremy Corbyn and this person.
We are all Palestine. Order!
Have launched a brand new political party, but it's already got off to a comical start. And asylum seekers have been using taxpayer-funded cards to go gambling, and at one local council, they've given them £100 off school uniforms and half-price bikes. We're also going to be taking you to Epping because there's been a peaceful protest there. We're getting some news through to us that apparently the local council might have just voted to close the Bell Hotel. So if that is the case, then that is a victory for the local residents. And of course, though, we've also got this.
You were born a man and you will die a man. That's the point I'm making. Figure it out real quick, however you want to go about this. Hey.
Well, they have decided now to sue over claims that Brigitte Macron is a man. Plus, the same court that wanted us to give away the Chagos Islands apparently now wants us to pay the world climate reparations. Oh, and we pay tribute to this legend of the wrestling world.
When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside.
On my panel tonight, we have got former Tory MP Anna Firth, we've got journalist and broadcaster Angela Epstein, and ex-Labour Party advisor Matthew Lazo, and don't forget, from 11 p.m. until midnight, it's Late Edition. A detailed look at tomorrow's front pages, any breaking news we get as well, so get ready, Britain, here we go. Get ready for Jezbollah next.
Thanks, Patrick. Very good evening to you. Our top story. Sir Keir Starmer has urged resident doctors not to join tomorrow's planned strike, which he says will put patients and the NHS at risk. Writing in The Times, the Prime Minister has issued a direct appeal to junior doctors, saying the British Medical Association is going down a damaging road, which plays into the hands of those who want the NHS to fail. The 5-day strike is set to begin at 7 a.m. tomorrow. His words echo those of the Health Secretary Wes Streeting, who says the walkout enormously undermines the entire trade union movement. Ghislaine Maxwell is understood to be meeting officials from the US Department of Justice amid growing pressure on the Trump administration to release the Epstein files. Maxwell, a longtime associate of Jeffrey Epstein, is currently serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking. The White House has denied claims President Trump's name appears in documents relating to the late convicted sex offender and has described reports Trump was informed about this in May as fake news. He's under mounting pressure to follow through on campaign promises to release files related to the disgraced financier. Essex police have been bracing for further disruption outside a hotel housing asylum seekers following days of volatile protests. 16 people have now been arrested after a series of demonstrations outside the Bell Hotel in Epping, which erupted last week after a migrant staying there was charged with sexual assault. He has denied those charges and will face trial next month. Local resident Lindsay Thompson was asked why she's taken part in the demonstrations.
Because this is a very small town and it's always been a very safe town to bring up our children, and my children have grown up here. And since the hotel has taken in, reports say today 140 men are here, it no longer feels safe.
Jeremy Corbyn says he's launching a new political party to take on the rich and powerful. He announced the new venture as Your Party, which would campaign for a mass redistribution of wealth and power, although co-founder Zara clarified it has yet to be named. The MP for Islington North has rejected suggestions the launch of the venture has been messy and says it's not intended to mirror for the left what Reform UK has done for the right.
Reform only offer a message of division and blame. All they do is say that every social problem in our society is somehow or other the fault of extremely vulnerable minorities. They are a dangerously divisive force in our society. What we're offering instead is to bring people together so we collectively face the issues of poverty, the issues of bad housing, the issues of underfunded education. So we face those issues together. Reform are a road to danger, not a road to any improvement in people's lives.
And President Trump's paid tribute to the wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, who's died at the age of 71. The WWE fighter achieved worldwide fame in the 1980s and 90s, transforming a niche sport into a global entertainment phenomenon. He went on to star in Hollywood films before becoming a vocal supporter of the MAGA movement.
All you scumbags, all you drug dealers, and all you crooked politicians need to answer one question, brother. What you gonna do when Donald Trump and all the Trumpomaniacs run wild on you, brother?
Well, Hogan, whose real name was Terry Bollea, reportedly suffered a cardiac arrest at his home in Florida. President Trump says that we lost a great friend today. Strong, tough, smart, but with the biggest heart. Those are your latest headlines. I'll be back with more just after 10 o'clock.
Good evening. Well, today it became official. This guy.
Hi, how you doing? We're back and we're ready for it all over again.
And this lady.
I oppose the blood-soaked hands of this government trying to silence us. So I say this loudly and proudly on Wednesday, the 2nd of July, 2025. We are all Palestine. Order!
No, we're not.
Announced the launch of a new political party. He spoke about child poverty, no money for the poor, but money for war and rising household bills. Then came a link to a page called yourparty.uk. But the launch immediately hit the skids because everyone thought it was called Your Party. Left-wing political journalists like Paul Brand, he thought that's what it was called. Reform Zia Youssef thought it was called Your Party. Even left-wing outlets like Politics Joe assumed it was called Your Party. But then, quite comically, Zara Sultana says it's not called Your Party. The response of, well, OK, what is it called then, has thus far gone unanswered. Here's how our political editor sees the party panning out.
Big news here on the left of the Labour Party. Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana have confirmed they are launching a new political party. Its name is TBC. It is called at the moment Your Party, like perhaps your M&S maybe, but Your Party.
Well, let's have a look at which MPs might join it. So they could be Adnan Hussain, Iqbal Mohammed, Sana Begum, Shaukat Adam, Zara Sultana, obviously, Ayub Khan, Diane Abbott and Jeremy Corbyn. So that would immediately mean that the no-name party has 8 MPs. It's a fruity bunch. Jeremy Corbyn is dogged by the reality that he seems unable to call Hamas terrorists.
Can we have a discussion?
Can you call them a terror group, Jeremy?
Can we have a discussion?
Can you call them a terror group?
Is it possible to have a rational discussion?
Are you prepared to call Hamas a terror group?
Is it possible to have a rational discussion?
Can you?
Is it possible? Come on, answer that question.
You can't, can you?
You answer it.
No, it's my show. You answer my question.
Well,
are Hamas a terror group?
Listen, can I...
Are they a terror group?
Piers, can I...
Answer the question.
Diane Abbott has just doubled down on what many perceive to be anti-Semitic comments.
Really, there must be a difference between racism, which is about colour, and other types of racism.
Iqbal Mohammed spoke out against a ban on cousin marriage.
The reason the practice is so common is that ordinary people see family intermarriage overall as something that is very positive, something that helps build family bonds and helps put families on a more secure financial foothold.
He says it helps build family bonds. Well, they're already family, aren't they, mate? But anyway, Adnan Hussain reportedly once told a rally in 2014, "Let's make Israel burn," even if he's since acknowledged his words were poorly chosen. Ayub Khan was criticised for calling the Pakistani rape gang scandal a right-wing narrative.
So when the right-wing media and those that seek to undermine, they are using a false narrative. And there's nothing new in that, because we know what they have ran in the past, whether it's in relation to the people that stand up for human rights, for Palestine, in Kashmir, whether it's to do with grooming gangs.
But the latest polling suggests that the party will actually do quite well once they name it. So they would be in 4th place at the moment with 12% of the vote. Labour would then only have 19% of the vote. So would the Tories. Reform, well, they'd be way out in front on 31%. Well, there we are. What do we all make of this new party, then? Let's get the thoughts of my panel. We've got former Tory MP Anna Firth, journalist and columnist Angela Epstein, and former Labour Party advisor Matthew Larser. Good evening, all of you. Great to see you.
Good evening.
Anna, I'll start with you. What do you make of the announcement of the party with no name? What kind of impact will it have on British politics?
Well, I mean, this is the most chaotic launch, isn't it, of a party ever. I mean, 3 weeks ago, Farah Sultana announced it, and then Jeremy Corbyn said no, it was nothing to do with him. And now it has been announced today, and now it hasn't even got a name. Well, I think it should be called the Granola Party, because they've got sultanas and nuts in them.
Right,
so there's my little suggestion. Yes. But on a serious one,
possibly less offensive than Jezbollah, which was my suggestion. So
but
yes, well done.
Actually, a couple of quick serious points though, because I really don't think you can ever underestimate Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah.
You know, in his seat, he gets 49% of the left-wing London Lovey vote, whereas Starmer's only getting 34% across the country. So I don't think we can underestimate Jeremy Corbyn. What's going to be interesting is he's part of this grouping called the Socialist Campaign Group in Parliament, and 5 of those members have lost the whip, including Diane Abbott, who's already joined them. Now, if they all join him, he'll have 11 MPs, and then he's going to be one of the biggest opposition parties.
Yeah.
So I think he will split the vote, and I think it will be interesting.
Well, how dangerous would that be, do you think, Angela, given some of the views that we've shown that some of their members or potential members have?
Well, if they have any kind of muscle to wield, then it will be terrifying, unequivocally. It doesn't matter where you sit on anything other than the concept of good and bad, you know, bad, evil, whatever. Those are heinous comments and heinous views that people have held. Labour are in a vulnerable position because remember, remember at the election, they polled only, what is it, about 33% of the votes. That was the lowest number of votes for a winning party to stack up.
Well, he actually got less votes than Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah. Right, OK. So they're already vulnerable for a start. Then you have all these disaffected progressives who are seeing Labour not rising to the challenges of the things that they want, immigration, albeit the U-turns now on winter fuel, disability payments, etc. And there is a home definitely needed for these people, is the perception of Mr Nuts and Miss Sultana. And the thing is, I know it sounds like a great children's comedy programme. You know, classically and traditionally, it would have been the Greens were disaffected. Maybe they'll nibble a bit off reform. It could actually be the Tories that win from this, because if Labour lose votes and the Greens and reform, where else do people go?
Well, we know the basic stance on Palestine and Gaza from that new political party. We're going to come on to what I think one of the knock-on effects of this party could be, but I wonder, Matthew, I'll put this to you, whether or not it's already having an impact on Sir Keir Starmer, because earlier on today we got this announcement from him, didn't we, which I think we can bring up now onto the screen. Keir Starmer's statement that he brought out earlier on today, there it is, in which he basically said that, you know, there is a huge right for Palestine to exist. He's talking about Palestine being recognised officially as a state. Well, the timing of that's quite interesting, Matthew, isn't it? This new party gets announced and then he does something that might appease people who would go and vote for that party.
Oh, Patrick, looking for links when there are none. I mean, yeah, absolutely, Patrick. The reason that statement is out today, the reason that statement's out today is because of the absolutely appalling behaviour of the Israeli government and the starvation of tens of thousands of people in Gaza, which puts people like me, who passionately believe in the right of the State of Israel to exist, and millions and millions sorry, Anna, let me finish, please. There are millions and millions of people in Israel itself who don't like what's going on in Gaza. That's what that statement's about. It echoes the words yesterday that were done at the UN. It's nothing to do with this party. I think you said it right. It's a joke. I make one big prediction. They won't be the joint leaders by the time of the next general election. You're absolutely right. It will scoop up votes from the Greens initially. It's not a catastrophe for Labour. And what happens in the short term is some of the ne'er-do-wells, in Keir Starmer's eyes, will leave the Labour Party.
I just wonder if it gives them somewhere to go, though. So if we get...
Yeah, it does.
It does. And how much longer are they going to be marched up the hill by Keir Starmer, who's announced some quite annoying policies to people on the left, and then march them back down the hill again?
Well, the interesting thing is that Nigel Farage is actually, I think, going to be a bit displaced here, because he's become quite a Corbynista in recent weeks. You know, he's announced policies of scrapping the two-child cap, no tax under 20,000, and nationalising steel. So I think, you know, Corbyn's taking some of his space. But the real thing here is that there's 115, really quickly, there's 115 Labour seats with a majority of under 5%. Now, those are all the seats that are going to be vulnerable.
Yep.
And I don't believe for 1 minute that statement, Matthew, isn't related. It could have been...
Oh, Anna, come off it. You know that. Stop playing party politics.
It could have... No, question. Why could that statement...
So you think that the British ambassador to the UN yesterday was influenced by what Jeremy Corbyn's doing? You're talking nonsense, Anna. Absolute nonsense. Even more nonsense than usual.
Gratuitously rude.
Yeah, as you were interrupting me, as you constantly do.
What I am saying is that
it's a very noisy place to sit in the middle.
Sorry, Angela. That statement could have been released yesterday or tomorrow.
Okay. No, it's released because Britain doesn't approve of what Israel's doing. Like the New Zealand, Australians, Japanese, French and Germans, Anna. But if you want to see some petty political conspiracy, you see it.
OK, Raisin, I just wanted to pose a final question, which some people might find this question offensive. I don't mean it in that way. I'm trying to look at it with one eye on the future, actually, here, really. Now, there was a party of Islam that was refused by the Electoral Commission, and that was refused, actually, just a couple of weeks after the October the 7th attacks. It was refused because it didn't have the correct party structure. Now, I just look at some of the views of some of the people who were in that party there. They were kind of the kind of pro-Gaza independents, a lot of them, that were then also seen as, you know, being quite wrapped up in being, you know, very pro the Muslim community. Fair enough, that might be their own community. But what I'm wondering is whether or not, by the time that Jeremy Corbyn shuffles off from being leader, whether or not it does become or open the door for essentially a Muslim party in
haven't joined yet, Patrick.
Can I just say something?
I haven't joined yet.
And also,
Yeah, they've all
you need to lower
tweeted
it.
positively about it.
Don't tell me how to lower my voice. Thank you very much.
Really, it's a bit loud. In all seriousness, speaking as somebody who's obviously very, personally connected to the spiralling anti-Semitism in this country, I was in Israel on October 6th, the day before October 7th. The country was going about its business. This was a war Israel did not want. We're seeing very difficult situation going on in Gaza. Aid not being allowed to be going through. Absolutely. The UN refusing to take the aid that is amassing at the border. There's 950 trucks there that Israel say are waiting to go. It's complex, but in terms of the issue about the electoral numbers, absolutely unequivocally, Keir Starmer has got his eye on that vote and that dynamic and that demographic. And that's absolutely abhorrent to everybody. We want politicians to choose policies based on what is best for this country, not in terms of what the complexity...
So do you think that statement was issued because you think condemning Gaza is entirely because of the Muslim vote? So that's why it's been done in Australia, in Japan, in France, in Germany, in those countries.
In the UK.
And so do you approve of what's going on in Gaza then? You think the starving of millions of people is OK?
I don't. I think that's an absolutely repugnant, loaded question, which you...
No, it's not, because I suppose... So you think the millions of Israelis who are against what's going on are wrong as well?
There's millions of Israelis that live in Israel. There's only about 7 million that live there.
Yes, and there can be 2 or 3 million within that 7 million who don't like Netanyahu.
Nobody wants a single person to starve.
Netanyahu does.
This was a famine that nobody ever wanted to happen.
And Israel could stop like that.
What about the hostages?
Absolutely. And why are the people...
You didn't...
Angela,
I haven't finished. You asked Anna to let you finish. Let me finish. You haven't mentioned...
Please don't wave your finger at me, though.
You haven't mentioned the hostages. The hostages are starving in the tunnel.
Absolutely, and that's why...
If the hostages were returned, if Hamas would say, OK, enough, we surrender, it would stop.
Why is the biggest condemnation today come from the family of the hostages, Angela? As you well know, if you keep a close eye on these things, you well know, then you know that the people who have condemned what Israel is doing at the moment, loudest of all within Israel, are the families of the hostages, and I agree with them. So don't tell me I don't care about hostages when I agree with their families.
One of the points that we're going to have, one of the points that people are going to be raising is whether or not it's going to increase sectarian politics in Britain. Look, as far as I'm concerned, there is a perfectly democratic right for anyone to launch a political party, for anyone to choose to stand for it, and for you to stand for election and see how many people vote for you. So it is very difficult, I think, for me to criticise its mere existence. But I am fascinated by what this will mean for the makeup of the House of Commons, what it could mean at the next general election. And there are plenty of big-hitter Labour MPs, where Streeting being one of them, where their seat could go as if 500 votes shift or thereabouts.
And the number of Green seats that came second in various marginal constituencies, I think there are about 40 seats where they came second.
The only thing I will say as well about this is Jeremy Corbyn, presumably knows this because he's been around for decades, hasn't he? But has now opened himself up again to constant media scrutiny, and that with itself could end up doing for him.
And a friend of Hamas and Hezbollah.
Totally, and I agree that clip was outrageous.
He was present,
and we can agree on that, I'm sure.
Present but not involved. So there we go. Right, I've got to move ourselves on to the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to win an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash. Here's how you can be in it to win it.
£54,321 in tax-free cash really could be yours. But what's it like to be a big Great British Giveaway winner?
I'm Paul from Sheffield. I was the winner of a very nice motorhome and £5,000 in cash off GBNews. Yeah, they just pinged up money in, 5,000, and I'm like, wow, I have actually won this competition. It has changed my life. It's given me stability and it's given me something to look forward to. Anybody can win. I never thought I was going to win, and I did. So thank you, GBNews.
Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Still to come, Hulk Hogan has sadly passed away, becomes the second huge character, really cult figure, doesn't it, to pass away this week after Ozzy Osbourne. We're going to be discussing his legacy, paying tribute to an American icon who was not without controversy, it must be said, but next...
This is a victory for our planet, for climate justice, and for the power of young people to make a difference.
These completely pointless and useless international courts have decided that we should give away the Chagos Islands, and now they want us to pay climate reparations. We're going to go head-to-head on that. Stay tuned.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
You've read the headlines and you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. Now, in what will be an absolutely mental court case, the Macrons are going to sue over claims that Brigitte is a man. But first, should we be paying the world reparations for climate change? It's time for the head-to-head. Do you remember in April last year when Greta Thunberg stood behind this army of geriatric Swiss grannies and said this?
It's a betrayal beyond words, and today's rulings make very clear that the European states have a legal responsibility to take real climate action.
That was off the back of an ECHR ruling that countries, including Switzerland and Britain, must do more to protect their citizens from the consequences of climate change. Well, guess what? Now they're back for more. A new ruling from the International Court of Justice has suggested that industrialised countries like us are liable for the damages from historic carbon emissions, and failure by countries to meet their climate obligations could allow other states affected by climate change to sue them. But how much could the cost of reparations really be? Well, some think it could be around $2.8 trillion. Yes, trillion, not billion. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres praised the ruling. Of course he did. It's not his money, is it? Saying the world must now respond.
This is a victory for our planet, for climate justice, and for the power of young people to make a difference. Young Pacific Islanders initiated this call for humanity to the world, and the world must respond.
Flipping heck. So, with a near $3 trillion bill to pay, tonight I'm asking, does Britain really owe the world climate reparations? Let me know your thoughts. You can go to gbnews.com/your say. I'm joined now by Andrew Montford, Director of Net Zero Watch, and John Grant, Senior Lecturer in Sustainable Construction and Climate Change. Thank you very much. I will start with you, Andrew. Should we just ignore these rulings?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the judges are kind of out of control. They're certainly out of control in the UK. I think certainly international judges are completely out of control. You know, they're a left-wing cabal. Their objective is to empty pockets. It's grift, really. There's very little evidence that there's any damage at all happening to the world at the present time. So, I mean, what sort of a court awards damages when there's no evidence of any damage is I mean, it's insane, isn't it? The economists say that this kind of the amount of warming we've seen, global warming is essentially a net benefit. Okay. The damage isn't meant to set in until sort of 3 degrees.
I can see John shaking his head. John, no doubt you want to question some of the science there. I am quite desperate for us to talk about just whether or not we really owe these countries money. So do we?
Well, I mean, we are on the back of an industrial revolution. We have made a lot of money and we've created a lot of power. We're a centre for money. About a quarter of the world's money passes through our London. I mean, I know we don't own that, but we still have a great deal of authority that goes along with that. And that is on the back of the Industrial Revolution and the enormous benefits that fossil fuels have given us. And now we are certain that these are causing impacts. That's just ridiculous that there's that temperature rises are a positive impact when we're looking at extinction rates, we're looking at people harvests down, we're looking at people dying now with the heat, whereas it used to be the cold. There are significant impacts, and if you're on an island state, it must be terrifying looking into the future. And we could help them and make money out of helping them, and do what we said we were going to do back in the 90s, or we can continue to have this ridiculous debate of punishing the most vulnerable.
Well, I say that, but surely it's more ridiculous, Andrew, to say that the people in Britain, owe Vanuatu or Bangladesh $2.3 trillion, or however much it was, Andrew. I mean, where's the money coming from?
Exactly. I mean that's a separate question, isn't it? I mean, have we got the money to give these people? I mean, the Industrial Revolution that Britain gave the world was a huge benefit to the world, as John said. So how this means that people alive today, I mean, why do I owe anybody anything for a benefit that my ancestors gave to the rest of the world? Why am I guilty of this sin, John? I mean, this is what it is, isn't it? It's a religion, really. You are trying to say that I am a sinner and I've got to pay my tithes to the global warming religion.
John, just out of interest, why didn't Bangladesh have their own industrial revolution?
No. I mean, we were the ones that developed that. We were asset stripping our empire, and we stole from the Indian subcontinent to the tune of tens of billions, and that's what drawing all those resources in. So that's what we did. Colonialism.
So it's entirely okay. No, this is an interesting point, right? So as far as you're concerned, it's entirely Britain's fault that other countries weren't on our level, right? It's not that we were in any way just better than those countries and the cultures there. It was the fact that so fine. So if they'd all been left to their own devices, right, they'd be equally as successful as us.
No, that isn't what I said. I said we asset stripped them. And so we became significantly more powerful because of that, as did all the colonial countries. And now, with that benefit, we have the resources. Rather than giving $1 trillion a year to the fossil fuel industry, we could give it to the poorest of our societies around the world to allow them to face what we, for the most part, have created going forward. It is going. We are not in a new normal. It is going to get significantly worse, and we could help them. We don't have to pay reparations if we support them. It isn't a requirement for reparations.
OK, just Andrew, final word on this. My concern is that we're going to end up doing this, and we're going to end up doing it because we saw what happened with the Chagos Islands, where a lawyer like Philippe Sands is going to end up representing all of these countries, saying that there's been an ICJ ruling and that we must stick to it. And his mate, who happens to be our Prime Minister, and possibly even our Attorney General, Lord Hermer, will feel as though they cannot contradict international law, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, it is partly about that, Patrick. It's also, though, by looking at the ruling, this seems to be about stopping any backsliding on decarbonisation policy. So what the court seems to be saying is they don't care how much pain people in the UK are feeling from these decarbonisation policies. We've got to stick at it. And if we don't stick at it, they're going to rule that we have to give money to Bangladesh. And as John says, it's not really about climate at all. He's saying it's something to do with colonialism. Let's actually try and understand.
I think in John's defence, sorry, we are pressed for time, but I would just say I think in John's defence, I just think it's about the climate as well. To be fair, John, you've made it clear. But look, yes, all right. Look, we're going to have to go. I'm afraid, chaps. Sorry, we are squeezed for time, but thank you, Andrew Mumford, there, Director of Net Zero Watch, and John Grant, who's a Senior Lecturer in Sustainable Construction and Climate Change. Right, moving on. Yeah, bonkers story. So President Macron is taking a US influencer, Candace Owens, to court for defamation. Why? Well, because she said that Brigitte Macron is a bloke. So we'll find out a bit more about that one way or the other, won't we? But next...
And they tried to kill the next president of the United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trump...
Well, Hulk Hogan passed away today, looking at that clip, rather unsurprisingly, of a heart attack, actually. But we'll be joined by US TV personality Antonio Sabato Jr. to discuss his life and legacy. He is a true icon. So that's Patrick Christys tonight. We're only on GB News.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're off on your holidays this week, let's take a look at the weather across Europe. So particularly hot for Italy and Greece, but further west, particularly windy for the Canary Islands and down the western coast of Portugal and in particularly the southwestern part of the Mediterranean. Thunderstorms for southeastern Spain, across France and northern Italy, but it's southern Italy and Greece that will be looking particularly hot, warmer than usual, and that heat is likely to last into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again, very good evening to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, as we go through the rest of today and into tomorrow, we have two zones of wet weather to watch out for. There's still some rain across parts of the southeast, but the front here is clearing away. Meanwhile, another front's coming in from the west, and that means we're going to see quite a bit of cloud feeding in across northern and western Scotland, also across Northern Ireland, and also a bit of wet weather coming in as we go through the early hours of tomorrow, albeit the rain's not looking particularly heavy. Elsewhere across much of the country, it's looking dry. There will be some clear skies around, but temperatures aren't going to drop a huge amount. It's pretty humid out there at the moment, and so with that, we could see some mist and fog patches developing in a few places. As we go through tomorrow morning then, apart from across some eastern, southeastern parts of Scotland, where there could be some sunshine, elsewhere it's going to be a fairly grey start and could be quite damp, a bit wet in some places, particularly towards the north and west. A similar story across Northern Ireland, quite cloudy with some outbreaks of rain. Much brighter, though, across much of England and Wales. Like I said, there could be some mist and fog first thing, but this should burn away pretty quickly. As we go through the day, however, that front is gradually going to feed a little bit further south and eastwards, so across parts of northwest England, around some coastal parts of Wales, and maybe even into Cornwall, things are going to turn cloudier and there could be some rain. Further northwest towards the northern western parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, some brighter spells, a few showers, but the best of the sunshine will be towards the south, where we're going to see temperatures peaking in the mid to high 20s Celsius. Looking ahead to the weekend, and it's going to be a bit showery at times. There'll be a swathe of showers feeding their way eastwards. These could turn quite heavy across parts of the southeast perhaps, and some more frequent showery bursts are likely towards the northwest, where it's going to be relatively breezy. And meanwhile, on Sunday, there will be some drier weather on offer, particularly towards more central parts.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racist tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome back, and it's time to turn to some sad news. Wrestling legend Hulk Hogan has died at the age of 71. He reportedly suffered a cardiac arrest at his Florida home. Now, Hogan, whose real name was Terry Bollea, is credited with transforming wrestling from a provincial pastime to the global phenomenon it is today. Well, Hulk and Ozzy, we have lost a couple of legends this week. I was hoping we might be able to play you a couple of clips of some of Hulk Hogan's glittering career there, I think. But anyway, I'm joined now by anchor and TV personality Antonio Sabato Jr. Well, whilst we wait on a couple of those clips, you know, how big a loss is Hulk Hogan? He was quite literally a larger-than-life character, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a legend, a true legend. He was just the greatest personality, the nicest guy you can meet, a wonderful person to be around, him and his family. We live very close to each other in Florida. We're Floridian. But he was a legend, and he was one of the nicest guys in the industry I ever met. And I met the guy several times, and he will be missed. And condolences to him, to his family, to his children, and a lot of fans, millions around the world are going to miss him.
Well, he transformed wrestling. I mean, he was literally one of the most famous faces in the world for decades, Hulk Hogan, wasn't he? And, you know, he revolutionised the wrestling game. I don't know if we might be able to show you a couple of his moves here from when he was in the ring.
Well, he was the best. I mean, he was truly the best. And I also remember him from Rocky III, you know, when he picked up Sly and he slammed him on the ground. He crossed over. He was he was the first from wrestling to movies to television shows. He had his own shows as well, and all the merchandising, and just children and kids around the world just adored the guy. And I grew up watching him. He was truly the best. He will be missed by millions.
Yeah, OK, all right. Well, yes, I mean, I think he also dabbled in the world of politics. He shocked the world when he came out in favour of President Trump, didn't he, doing the iconic shirt-ripping thing. I think we can play you that.
And they tried to kill the next president of the United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule.
Yeah, did that damage his popularity or increase it?
No, increased it. He just loves his country. He loves America. He loves the flag. He loves the community. He loves Florida. I mean, he's just the biggest guy in size-wise, but also his heart and the way he loved people. He loved his fans. He would just shake your hand and just give you his attention. at any given moment. He was just really a true legend, and he will be missed, like I said. I mean, there's few guys in the world that truly live like him, and he was one of a kind.
You say that, I mean, he did have a proper life, didn't he? He did come out and admit steroid use, although, to be fair, I mean, you know, one of many people in the wrestling industry. I'm not trying to knock the wrestling industry. I'm just saying it's, you know, it's quite a clear and obvious thing, isn't it, there? So he came out and admitted that. And then there was the old sex tape scandal as well, for which he was paid a huge amount of money. He was caught on a 9-second sex tape, I believe, being secretly recorded. I think actually having sex with his friend's wife, wasn't he?
Well, listen, the guy, as you live in this industry, in the entertainment world, nobody's perfect. We're certainly never perfect, but the guy was perfect in so many other ways. Obviously, a lot of people in this industry have scandals and things like that, but he lived up to everything else, and he's truly will be remembered as a legend. I mean, also his fitness regimen, the way he took care of himself in his 70s, nobody does that anymore, you know what I mean? So, sure, he has some ups and downs, but at the end of the day, he always had a smile on his face, and he always loved this country, and he always just, he had the biggest heart ever.
Also kind of an underrated actor as well, because he flipped during his wrestling career. So he went from being basically, you know, a good guy, like Mr. America in a sense, to then playing the heel role and being a bad person, and then back again, didn't he? So I think he's underrated for those attributes.
Yeah, he could do comedy, he could also do drama, he could also do action. He was just all over the place, and he kept doing that his whole life. He didn't have to do it. He could retire and obviously just have a great career as a wrestler, but no, he just crossed over. And like I said, he was the first to cross over from that world into all kinds of things. And the fans kept getting bigger and bigger from all over the world.
One of the things that I do find quite funny, although I'm not sure how funny he found it, was that he says that it was him versus George Foreman for the grill, right? For the endorsement, the celebrity endorsement of what we all know now became the world famous George Foreman lean mean grilling machine. That was it, wasn't it? Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, which
That's
obviously
right.
made George Foreman like billions of pounds, and unfortunately for Hulk, he missed out on that. So you win some, you lose some, but he had a very rich life in other ways. Antonio, thank you very much. Antonio Zabato Jr. there, actor and TV personality. Right, coming up, well, some very, very serious news now. At 10 p.m, I'm going to be giving you the latest update from Epping, where there's been a peaceful protest there outside a migrant hotel, and we think that they might have secured a victory, because it would seem to me like the local council might have just voted to shut that hotel down, but we'll have the latest for you on that. Next, though, Emmanuel Macron is taking a US influencer to court in the United States because she said that his wife is a bloke. We'll get the latest next.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. So, weird story this, but one we're covering nonetheless. American political commentator Candace Owens is being sued by President Macron and his wife, Brigitte, because of a series of unfounded accusations regarding the gender of Brigitte Macron.
From the top here with a photo of Brigitte Macron. Real name, Jean-Michel Trogneux. That person that you are looking at on the right is not a woman.
Well, that clip isn't even the half of it, because Owens actually has a podcast series called Becoming Brigitte, which has helped to propagate the conspiracy theory that Brigitte was born a man. However, Owens herself has shown no signs of backing down. She stated on X that not a single person can watch her documentary series and come out with any other conclusion.
You were born a man and you will die a man. That's the point I'm making. Figure it out real quick, however you want to go about this. Hey.
So what are the chances that the Macrons will win this case? I am joined now by the attorney and legal analyst, Eric Gunster. Eric, thank you very much. So lots of claims made by Candace Owens. The most prominent one of them, of course, is that Brigitte Macron is a man. What's the chances of Candace Owens winning this case?
The only chance for winning the case is if it's true. Any type of lawsuit someone brings, if there's a level of truthfulness to it, then the defendant can win. However, Candace Owens has been put on notice that they're saying that this is not true. She's been told to stop doing the behavior, but she's continued to do it. Therefore, they did the right thing in filing a case in the United States against Candace Owens to try to seize her assets if they win and stop her cash flow.
Okay. She did. I mean, I watched every single minute of that documentary, and she did appear to have gone to the Macrons several times for rights of replies and for quite basic information when it comes to proving that you are a woman. So why would the Macrons have held that until now?
Well, some things shouldn't be dignified. I mean, if someone comes to you and say, hey, are you a girl? You're like, why would I answer this clown's comments? Why would I answer this clown's questions? And that's what they did. They don't have to reply to anyone. However, if you make baseless claims against someone, just like Fox News did, and get sued, the right lawyer can get you a judgment and hold your assets.
So presumably this court case is very short, is it? The Macrons turn up, they present a legitimate birth certificate and some genetic biological evidence that Brigitte Macron is in fact a woman, and then that's that.
Well, it doesn't necessarily just have to be like a biological thing. I mean, the courts have a lot of levity in how they want to approach a case. What proof does Candace Owens have? What can she say that she got this information from? What she asked to... And because you can't just go and say baseless things about someone on a large, especially on a large scale with a large audience, and expect to profit from it, for one, and secondly, keep doing it after they tell you to stop. That's what she did, and now she's being held liable. And a lot of bloggers and people who do internet shows, a lot of them being held liable recently because people are starting to sue them when they start making false claims.
Yeah, she also claims that the French president and his wife were blood relatives and that Emmanuel Macron was the product of a CIA human experiment or a, quote, similar government mind control program. And, yeah, really, that's some of it, again, isn't it? Is she being sued for that?
I'm not sure if she's being sued for that. However, under deposition, she'll have to answer, where did you get this information? What proof do you have? Did you just come out of the sky and just say, hey, I think this will get me a lot of views, so let me say something outrageous to profit off of it? Because that's how influencers make money. They get views on reels and on shows and on videos. So they're looking to hold her accountable and really stop the behavior.
That's interesting. So is the burden of proof, sorry, Eric, but is the burden of proof here on Candace Owens to prove that Brigitte Macron is a man, or is it on Brigitte Macron to prove that she's a woman?
Well, it's not necessarily the proof of it. It is, I'm making a claim that you lied. The proof is whether or not you lied and you knowingly lied. Did you pull this out of the air? Did you read it somewhere? Did you have something that you believe to be true? If Candace Owens is pulling something out of the air for views, then she could be held liable for it, because that's how Fox News got it.
I don't want to speak for Candace Owens here, but there'd be another lawsuit involved, wouldn't there? But what she says is that she's got basically all of her information from this book called Becoming Brigitte, which in that outlines a very mysterious start to Brigitte Macron's life, which there appears to be very little to no photographic evidence before she emerges at some point. Well, this is what Candace Owens would probably say, looking quite mannish, right? And there doesn't appear to be too much of a record of her existing. So that's what she'll be centering it around, I would have thought. You don't think that's good enough to win this case, I take it?
I highly doubt it. I believe Candace Owens likely pulled this out of the air for views because she was becoming kind of a non-factor. In the United States, people weren't really paying attention to her show. So she needed something to become more relevant, and that's what she did at the benefit and, well, at the detriment of someone else and their reputation.
Well, it will be fascinating, and it could all be over on day one, presumably, if the Macrons decide to turn up and drop a huge amount of proof. I think what will be interesting is if they turn up and they don't offer any actual hard evidence about Brigitte's genetics, but they do, they just make Candace Owens try to prove everything. I don't know, I just think it could be interesting to watch. But thank you very much, Eric Gunster there, who is an attorney and a legal analyst. Obviously, the Macrons say, well, they wouldn't be suing otherwise, will they? But they say this is all a load of rubbish, which is highly defamatory. So we'll take it from there, won't we? Right, OK. I have got a lot coming your way. In slightly more light-hearted news, what's this guy going on about?
My next-door neighbour, I was talking to him, he's a lawyer, so he's not an idiot. Well, he is a that's another problem. But he said, oh, that's right, you just put plugs along the highways. I said, but if you haven't got a source from a power station, plugs on the highways aren't going to do right? Do you understand me? The people don't understand. They think the electricity comes out of space.
Well, we are going to, in just a couple of minutes' time, though, talk to you about the latest developments from Epping that we've been covering, well, for most of the week here on GB News. And we've got some breaking news for you. It appears that the local council in Epping have voted to close the migrant hotel that has been at the centre of all of these protests. If that is true, then frankly, it sets a precedent for people, and it's a victory for the local residents. Stay tuned.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello again, very good evening to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, as we go through the rest of today and into tomorrow, we have two zones of wet weather to watch out for. There's still some rain across parts of the southeast, but the front here is clearing away. Meanwhile, another front's coming in from the west, and that means we're going to see quite a bit of cloud feeding in across northern and western Scotland, also across Northern Ireland, and also a bit of wet weather coming in as we go through the early hours of tomorrow, albeit the rain's not looking particularly heavy. Elsewhere across much of the country, it's looking dry. There will be some clear skies around, but temperatures aren't going to drop a huge amount. It's pretty humid out there at the moment, and so with that, we could see some mist and fog patches developing in a few places. As we go through tomorrow morning then, apart from across some eastern, southeastern parts of Scotland, where there could be some sunshine, elsewhere it's going to be a fairly grey start and be quite damp, a bit wet in some places, particularly towards the north and west. A similar story across Northern Ireland, quite cloudy with some outbreaks of rain. Much brighter though across much of England and Wales. Like I said, there could be some mist and fog first thing, but this should burn away pretty quickly. As we go through the day, however, that front is gradually going to feed a little bit further south and eastwards, so across parts of northwest England, around some coastal parts of Wales, and maybe even into Cornwall, things are going to turn cloudier and there could be some rain. Further northwest towards the northern western parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, some brighter spells, a few showers, but the best of the sunshine will be towards the south, where we're going to see temperatures peaking in the mid to high 20 Celsius. Looking ahead to the weekend, and it's going to be a bit showery at times. There'll be a swathe of showers feeding their way eastwards. These could turn quite heavy across parts of the southeast perhaps, and some more frequent showery bursts are likely towards the northwest, where it's going to be relatively breezy. And meanwhile, on Sunday, there will be some drier weather on offer, particularly towards more central parts.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed home battery storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
we're like animals in a zoo at the moment. If you want to protest against the hotel, you have to be in designated areas. This police operation is very well organised and a very heavy police presence. We're hearing police dogs.
another day of protest in Epping as fed-up mums took to the streets. But there is some good news.
So all those, please, in favour of the motion, please raise your hands.
The bell's going to be closed.
Unanimous, Chairman.
Unanimous, apparently. The Epping Forest District Council has just voted to close the hotel at the centre of the controversy. Victory, hey, plus? I wish we could vote for this to stop as well. Asylum seekers have been using taxpayer-funded cards to go gambling. One local council has given them £100 off their school uniforms and half-price bikes. It's all right for some, isn't it? Plus,
you were born a man and you will die a man. That's the point I'm making. Figure it out real quick, however you want to go about this. Hey.
Well, they're going to court, aren't they? So the Macrons are going to sue over claims that Brigitte is a man. Plus, the tributes are flowing in for this controversial legend of the wrestling world.
And it comes crashing down and it hurts inside.
And what is this Australian farmer on about?
People don't understand. They think the electricity comes out of space.
That is one of the best clips I've ever seen, so get ready for that. But on my panel tonight, we've got former Conservative MP Anna Firth, we've got Labour Party advisor Matthew Larzer and journalist Angela Epstein. And from 11 p.m. until midnight, it's Late Edition, a detailed, proper look at tomorrow's newspaper front pages and any breaking news we get as well. So get ready, Britain. Here we go. They are going to close down the Bell Hotel in Epping. Victory for people power. Next.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Let's get you up to date with the latest headlines. Sir Keir Starmer has urged resident doctors not to join tomorrow's planned strike, which he says will put patients and the NHS at risk. Writing in The Times, the Prime Minister has issued a direct appeal to junior doctors, saying the British Medical Association is going down a damaging road which plays into the hands of those who want the NHS to fail. The 5-day strike is set to begin tomorrow at 7 a.m. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees says 1 in 5 children in Gaza City is suffering from malnutrition, with cases rising on a daily basis. The head of UNRWA, Philippe Lazzarini, says a colleague in the territory has described people there as walking corpses. The UN blames Israel's blockade. Israel says there's no siege and blames Hamas for any cases of malnutrition. Sir Keir Starmer has confirmed he'll hold emergency talks on Gaza with France and Germany tomorrow. It comes as Israel and the US have announced they are recalling negotiators from Doha, where peace talks are being held. The US envoy Steve Witkoff has accused Hamas of not acting in good faith. Ghislaine Maxwell is understood to be meeting officials from the US Department of Justice amid growing pressure on the Trump administration to release the Epstein files. Maxwell, a long-time associate of Jeffrey Epstein, is currently serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking. Now, the White House has denied claims that President Trump's name appears in documents relating to Epstein, the late convicted sex offender, and has described reports Trump was informed about this in May as fake news. He's under mounting pressure to follow through on campaign promises to release files related to the disgraced financier. Jeremy Corbyn says he's launching a new political party to take on the rich and powerful. He announced the new venture as Your Party, which would campaign for a mass redistribution of wealth and power, although co-founder Zara Sultana quickly clarified it has yet to be named. The MP for Islington North has rejected suggestions. The launch has been messy and says it's not intending to be a mirror for the left to what reform has done for the right.
Reform only offer a message of division and blame. All they do is say that every social problem in our society is somehow or other the fault of extremely vulnerable minorities. They are a dangerously divisive force in our society. What we're offering instead is to bring people together so we collectively face the issues of poverty, the issues about bad housing, the issues of underfunded education. So we face those issues together. Reform are a road to danger, not a road to any improvement in people's lives.
And President Trump has paid tribute to the wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, who's died at the age of 71. The WWE fighter transformed a niche sport into a global phenomenon. He went on to star in Hollywood films before becoming a vocal supporter of the MAGA movement.
All you scumbags, all you drug dealers, and all you crooked politicians need to answer one question, brother. What you gonna do when Donald Trump and all the Trumpomaniacs run wild on you, brother?
Well, Hogan, whose real name was Terry Bollea, is reportedly to have suffered a cardiac arrest at his Florida home. President Trump says we lost a great friend today. Strong, tough, smart, but with the biggest heart. There's your headlines. Now it's back to Patrick.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Good evening. Get ready for some breaking news because the British public aren't backing down anymore. In Epping, Essex, an Ethiopian man who had reportedly been in the country for just a few days after arriving on a small boat has been charged with numerous sex offences. One of them is against a young schoolgirl. He denies all the allegations. There's been protests. The police even escorted Stand Up to Racism to the hotel.
If these are locals, why are they getting in a police car? Why are they getting in police cars? Why don't they just go home if they're local?
All of that prompted a ridiculous press conference with the Chief Constable of Essex Police yesterday, where he basically said he couldn't comment on anything, nothing was really his job, and the left-wing media just wanted to ask questions about Nigel Farage and try and blame it all on him and online misinformation. Well, today, the police then barricaded that hotel. Locals turned up anyway, and then police penned them in.
We're like animals in a zoo at the moment. If you want to protest against the hotel, you have to be in designated areas. This police operation is very well organised and a very heavy police presence. We're hearing police dogs.
But especially the women of Epping would not be deterred, and they decided to march on the local council building.
This is astonishing. Astonishing. I'm not sure if the police were banking on this, but as you can see, there are police escorting up.
Yeah, just hear shouts there of "Save our kids." And tonight, some breaking news. Epping Forest District Council has voted unanimously to urge the government to close the hotel at the centre of all of these protests. Here's a clip.
So all those, please, in favour of the motion, please raise your hand.
The bell's going to be closed.
Unanimous, Chairman.
So, as I understand it, that is a very clear message to the Home Office and to the government. And if they decide not to close the hotel, then they would be going against directly, really, not just the views of the local people, but also the views of the local council. So that puts them in a tricky position, doesn't it? Look, people bang on about the far right and about violent, racist thugs. Well, this doesn't sound very racist or far right to me.
What will stop you?
Nothing. Nothing will stop us until because it's our children. But when do you say, oh, yeah, okay, your kids don't matter then? Of course they matter. If you've got 5 men standing on a street corner doing nothing, because they've got nothing to do, looking at girls going past in their tennis outfits and their gym clothes, it makes you feel very bloody uncomfortable.
Yeah, nothing really racist about that, is there? She said that they've had letters from the school warning them about the men from the hotel. She said they can't go jogging anymore because those blokes just sit around drinking all day. Look, at the police presence here, look at this police presence for these concerned parents.
See the number of police moving across here. We've seen police officers from Warwickshire, we've seen them from Derbyshire, as you say, Nottingham, and the Metropolitan Police here as well.
So you'll see police outside a migrant hotel when local mums and kids want to turn up and say, do you mind just protecting us? But you don't see them when there are migrants working illegally, do you? My view is this. The argument has been won. with all the evidence that we now have about the rate of sexual assault and violent crime from the countries that these men are coming from, everyone has a right to protest any hotel in their area. But the left-wing media and politicians are desperate to be able to call you all far-right, violent racists. So don't let them. Just be a bit like these ladies here. Let's have a look. There you go. I'm not far right. I'm worried about my kids. There we go. Make Epping safe again. Yeah, be like them. Anyway, let's get the thoughts of my panel. We are joined this evening by former Tory MP Anna Firth. We've also got journalist Angela Epstein and ex-Labour Party advisor Matthew Larser. So, the breaking development tonight is that Epping Forest District Council has voted unanimously to tell the Home Office to basically shut that hotel down. This puts the government in a tricky position, doesn't it? Because it would show that people power works, which they can't really have, because otherwise every hotel's going to get a protest out of it and they'll have to shut every single one.
Well, when I was an MP, I was absolutely on this to make sure that we didn't have any migrant hotels in Southend. And I'm sure the MP in Epping did their best. I hope they did their best. But it should start right at that moment. Don't let any of these migrant hotels come to your patch, because they shouldn't be in hotels. You know, this goes right back to Starmer. This is all completely, as far as I'm concerned, this is all completely on him, promising the British public he was going to smash the gangs and presiding over record
Well, it can't really be true, though, because the migrant hotels actually started under the Tories.
No, of course they did, Patrick. And of course they did. And Rishi actually made the same mistake, stopped the boats. Starmer didn't learn from that. But now we have record numbers. They've got to go somewhere. They shouldn't be in hotels. They can be in hostels. They should be in deportation camps. Even bring back the Bibi Stockholm. That was good enough for German migrants to be housed on. It was good enough for people working on oil rigs. Okay. It's plenty good enough for migrants.
Well, what does the government do now then, Angela? Do they shut this hotel down because the local councillors and the local people, by the looks of it, want it gone?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that the government, that it's all about the optics as much as anything. You have predominantly young men arriving here illegally from a safe place, France. You know, we have a fine tradition of taking in people who escape persecution and who need sanctuary in this country. They come here, services are stretched, we can't get GP appointments. This is not about NIMBYism or about, you know, being xenophobic. It's about being realistic. And there is very much a huge concern across the political landscape about uncontrolled mass immigration, illegal immigration. And Starmer, in my view, should have gone down there. Let's see him, instead of glad-handing around the world with politicians from all different countries, and say, I understand your concerns. There's no place for violence in protest, legitimate political protest, yes. Say, I understand how you feel that taxpayer money is being spent on giving asylum seekers cards, 6,500 of which have then been used in gambling establishments, not actually to gamble with, but the money's been taken out in gambles. And the Home Office can track this, but they're not allowed to intervene with the transactions. People are seeing this and wondering, OK, we're supposed to give sanctuary to those in need. These are people clearly not in need because they're not spending the money on food and clothes, etc.
And I think one of the big points as well, and one of the real points of praise that I would really love to give the people of Epping and the people that have been, you know, prominent in the reports that Charlie Peters was doing throughout the course of this today, which is there are a lot of just mums there, actually, and they were making very serious points, which sound, I mean, I'm laughing because I find it ridiculous that they were like, well, we go jogging in that park and we can't anymore because the blokes just sit there and drink and ogle schoolgirls all day. They pointed out various different, you know, alleged offences that have taken place there. The school apparently warned people about to be safe there. You know, why on earth would the government keep this hotel open, Matthew?
Because the short answer is because they've got to go somewhere whilst their claims are being processed. I mean, Anna, I agree with you. We do need to try and end the use of hotels, which is why, under the first year of the Labour government, although it may not be far enough for many, the number of hotels in use has gone down significantly, and the cost has gone down significantly because the Labour government has insisted on better deals. That's good enough. We want to see the government has a policy of having nobody in a hotel by the end of this Parliament, and clearly people would like to see much faster process. The best thing is if people don't have to go anywhere because process, or you need a lot fewer accommodation, then you can use things like hostels, etc. And so we can turn people around faster because the backlog that
I don't know if we're going to be turning anyone around, though, are we? I think they're just going to be coming into random...
No, because more returns are up.
The thing, we don't have an We don't have an effective deterrent. That's front and centre been the problem with the Labour Party. Immediately they smashed they said they'd smashed the gangs. They immediately trashed the Rwanda scheme, and I know it was poo-pooed for all sorts of different reasons. But at least the scheme said, you come here illegally, we're turning you around and we're sending you back. They trashed that, but they didn't have an alternative.
Fine, but there's a big victory here for the people of Epping, which is that they had to overcome not just what was going on day to day in that particular area, which must have been horrific, but also the left-wing press turning up and trying to blame things on Nigel Farage and misinformation online, instead of asking the police officer at the opportunity they had direct, hard questions about the criminality, some of it alleged, that has been taking place in that area, and getting some answers. The other thing they had to put up with was the police escorting Stand Up to Racism there, and then all being told that they're far-right bigots.
But you're absolutely right, Patrick, to praise these mums and to praise these local people, because what they've actually done is they have engaged with the democratic process. They've marched on the right place, which is the local council building, and they have organised themselves and got a motion put before that council, and they've got that motion passed unanimously. But the problem still remains. If you don't turn the tap off, you're still going to have the bath overflowing. And that's what's going on here. It's all very well for Matthew to say that that returns have gone up. Yes, voluntary returns have gone up, but enforced returns are still a very small part of that.
They need to get bigger. But, I mean, the good thing is, for people around the country who, like the people of Epping, are concerned about the use of hotels, is that the number of people in hotels has gone down because people...
Where have they gone, Matthew?
Some has gone into private rented accommodation, which is not ideal, but also the number of people overall, I think, has gone down because the processing has got faster. It's not good enough. And look, you know, I think for people on the left to sort of criticise those mums is just ludicrous. Those concerns are legitimate lived experience, to use the phrase that the left like, and they should be listened to. I mean, I don't think there are people who try and hijack these protests. There are. Thankfully. Well, there are. You know, but those are not the mums who are standing outside the school gate.
That is a really important point.
Starmer should feel thoroughly ashamed of himself for scrapping the Rwanda scheme before it had even had a chance
but he had nothing,
to start.
And also, he did it with such a flourish, as if to say, I cannot get I cannot get my red pen out fast enough, but I don't have anything in the time. It's classic Starmer. He's a weather-vane politician. He swings whichever way he thinks the electoral numbers will go for him. And this is such a huge concern. Like I said before, we don't even see him.
What about that police presence, though, today?
He should have gone down there. I think that's a really good point.
I think that would have been the last thing he should have done, because it would have inflamed the situation.
The thing I will say is that Sir Keir Starmer would never go to any of the places that I went to in Calais. He would never want to interact with the human traffickers that I spoke to and see how easy it is for himself, and he would never want to go to a protest there. And it does make you wonder, well, what's he good for? But
what he does want to do is reduce the use of hotels and stop it by the end of the Parliament. He's made that pledge. He's not going to meet it. He needs to meet it, otherwise he'll be judged on that by the electorate.
Also to smash the gangs.
And that's why new legislation...
Before we get into another round...
Have been smashed by Patrick Christys.
Well, we debated them.
I nearly stopped that before she started praising me then.
I know, classic Christys.
I know I want more of it. No, sorry, but I just wanted to get a point next. We've only got a couple of minutes left, which is about the police presence that we saw there. Huge police presence from loads of different police forces, apparently, for what turned out to be, like, a lot of mums.
And then people report a burglary, or they report and nobody shows up. I was in a small supermarket of a large chain, one of those local versions, the other night. Two men walked in, took 2 bagloads of booze before my very eyes, and walked out. The staff were screaming at them, but they're not allowed to touch them. And I said, "Are you calling the police?" And they said they won't show up. So you see that. You go to the Oasis concerts, as you know, they're in Manchester, on my neck of the woods. Masses of police here, you know, for effectively quite, you know, benign situations. But real people don't get police when they need them.
That is a real problem, because of Starmer not doing anything sensible to smash these gangs and stop the boats. We are going to find our police forces are depleted in other areas where we need them.
Matthew, do you think it justified that level of police presence?
Look, I don't think that the Chief Constable of Essex has covered himself in glory. I mean, no questions about his track record with our dear friend Alison Pearson, who, you know, etc. So there are clearly issues around Essex. Where's the Police and Crime Commissioner for Essex, who should be keeping an eye on these things, who I think is a Tory, last time I checked. If not, they're doing it. But, I mean, I think they're, you know, this is the elected person in charge of the police and crime, and they ultimately are who the Chief Constable reports to, so let's see some action from them.
There was also a story in the paper the other day about the police worrying they're going to be stretched if there's a summer of riots. Meanwhile, there's tons of them there.
You're trying to shoot the messenger. You're dealing with the symptoms. You're not dealing with.
You can't criticise the policing and then just say they're OK because they're a Tory. They don't have responsibility. Anna.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you're.
So would you call for your colleague to?
Still not dealing with the cause of the problem.
Would you call for your colleague to reprimand the chief constable?
Are being allowed to come across the channel willy-nilly, and we're putting them in hotels.
We're going to move on because it's actually a story after this that flows quite nicely on from it, because there was some other big news today. Not just the fact that now apparently there's been these 6,000 illegal migrants who've been using their cars to gamble or whatever they've been doing with them, but there's a couple of other local councils that have emerged as giving a load of freebies or incentives to illegal migrants that they do not give to other people in their communities. I'm going to reveal exactly what they are, but surely this stuff needs to stop now as well. But it's not just local councils giving free stuff to asylum seekers on this show.
Beautiful segue.
That's why they pay me the medium-sized bucks. Now, it's the Great British Giveaway. Yes, we give you free stuff as well. 54,321 quid. I can't help but wonder if one day this is going to be won by someone in an asylum hotel, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. It's tax-free cash, and here's how you can be in it to win it.
£54,321 in tax-free cash really could be yours. But what's it like to be a big Great British Giveaway winner?
I'm Paul from Sheffield. I was the winner of a very nice motorhome and £5,000 in cash off GBNews. Yeah, he just pinged up money in, 5,000, and I'm like, wow, I have actually won this competition. It has changed my life. It's given me stability and it's given me something to look forward to. Anybody can win. I never thought I was going to win, and I did. So thank you, GBNews.
Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Coming up, I've got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, including more bad news for farmers on the front of the Telegraph, unfortunately. But next, woke councils are offering asylum seekers half-price e-bikes and pottery classes. Oh, and a little bit of money off the school uniform. Stay tuned.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Back in 2015, Thornton and Cleveley's resident Emma Shepherd noticed the grass in her garden wasn't growing. Within months, she had to put down Alfie, one of her beloved dogs who had developed throat cancer. Just weeks later, she developed a lesion on her back, which would later be diagnosed as skin cancer. She knew then that something wasn't right.
I wasn't really aware of the history of the ICI site when I took the property. I did so much investigation. I had the ground tested with my own money. There was high levels of metals in there and some obviously cancerous carcinogenics in there. They actually nicknamed me Erin Brockovich because I was so all over it.
Last year, a joint investigation was launched by the Environment Agency and the local council. That was following the discovery of PFOA, a man-made chemical that potentially causes cancer. Both parties told GB News they are now working together on this matter, whilst the company under investigation for the potential release of the substance had this to say. AGC Chemicals Europe sets the highest standards for itself and takes its commitments to the local community and to the environment extremely seriously. They added that they voluntarily phased out the use of PFOA in the UK by early 2012. Release of the substance was within the permits held by AGC Chemicals Europe at the time, and also UK legislation in place at the time. And yet, 2 months ago, residents within a kilometre of the site received this letter from the council, advising them not to consume anything grown in their gardens due to potential PFOA contamination.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. So there are warnings today that middle-class households are at risk of rocketing council tax bill rises. So just bear that in mind when I reveal what I'm about to tell you now. So your council tax, if you're middle class, is probably going to go through the roof. So you could be paying more for stuff like this. Asylum seekers are using taxpayer-funded bank cards in betting shops and casinos. Under Freedom of Information laws, the Politics Home website discovered that around 6,500 asylum seekers have used their government-issued bank cards at least once for gambling in the past year. Oh yeah, but it gets better, this, people, gets better. It turns out that Wandsworth Council is offering special discounts for migrants, including half-price e-bike rentals. Oh yes, half-price transport if you're an asylum seeker. They're also being offered 50% off pottery and life drawing classes. I can see a problem happening with the life drawing class, but maybe we'll ignore that for now. Half-price weddings at Wandsworth Town Hall. Now why could that be? What would it make it easier for you to do if you got married in Britain? I wonder. Anyway, they've also got half-price fishing permits, which might explain why we are seeing videos in some areas of people who look a lot like illegal migrants fishing. But anyway, and now Lambeth Council is following suit, as Guido Fawkes reports. They're now giving £100 per child to asylum-seeking families for school uniforms. Well, there we go. What do you make of that? Max Young from Guido Fawkes joins me now. So, Max, it appears that you can get quite a lot of incentives in Britain that, you know, dare I say it, ordinary tax-paying, hard-working Brits are unable to get.
Yeah, that's right, Patrick, you certainly can. And I think as more of this stuff comes out, a lot of this has been going on for quite some time. It's not going to wash with taxpayers anymore because the situation's really changed since the early coalition period, when we enjoyed doing this sort of feel-good stuff where, on the face of it, we are improving the lives with freebies and perks and giveaways for people who probably don't have a lot of money. But the situation has changed now. We've got a state that can't function on multiple levels. And we've also got a serious issue with a pull factor on illegal immigration, where people come to the country and claim asylum. And you know, this Wandsworth Borough Council handing out 50% off Lime, Forest and Voi bikes. So they've agreed that with the companies themselves. So the companies are stumping up the cash for that. And what that tells you is that the council has spent time negotiating jointly with these companies, probably with a threat, because, you know, only a stick is going to work if they're fronting the cash, right? So they'll have said, you probably can't operate at all in Wandsworth if you don't offer these concessions to PIP claimants. And asylum seekers,
That's interesting, but I'm just thinking, I mean, I love the way that Guido Fawkes operates, because once you get the whiff of something, you normally like to follow that up. So I imagine, Max, that this could be quite bad news for a lot of other local councils now, as people like yourself in that Guido Fawkes office decide to have a look at what they're all up to.
That's absolutely right. It's indicative of a wider issue, that there's a broad and actually growing, as we can see from Wandsworth, architecture at the local level to hand out these perks and freebies. A lot of it is actually orchestrated by organisations and charities. There are two, the Migrant Champions Network and the City of Sanctuary organisation, which are particularly egregious. The first one actually includes a pledge for councils and city authorities that sign up for them to refuse to share data with the Home Office, right? So it's actually working against the government. And what that tells you now...
What kind of data? Sorry, what kind of data?
So there's information that councils have that they can share with the Home Office to make Home Office procedures when it comes to locating, moving asylum seekers around much easier. And councils in general, the more left-wing ones, although Tories are prone to this as well, Lib Dems, Green, controlled councils, who sign up to this pledge, in essence, bind their staff informally or formally to not share any data with the Home Office, which is obviously a massive issue. Right. It's terrible that they have legal obligations that they have to fulfil.
Yeah, I recently had a encounter with the charity sector over in Calais, and I must say it's just there's a lot more work to be done there when it comes to exposing who some of these people are. But I suppose the overarching thing is, Max, that you feel as though maybe you're on the cusp and your colleagues at Guido Fawkes are on the cusp of revealing how many councils up and down Britain give incentives to illegal migrants that ordinary people don't get. The same councils that are probably about to hike people's council tax yet again.
We've coined the phrase Asylum freebie gate. It's a bit of a callback to the Labour freebie gate of last year. There needs to be an audit done, and we're working on categorically collating all this stuff now. So your viewers can check the Guido Fawkes website in the coming weeks as we put this all together and paint a full picture. But taxpayers will really not view this as appropriate activity for the councils to be going on with. And neither should the Labour government, because this is ultimately a matter of political will for Labour.
Yeah, 100%.
You've got their councils, losing them votes broadly by raising taxes and making their lives harder. These are key political ambitions for Labour, is to solve this problem. So they need to get a move on and actually impose extra restrictions on the councils on this activity, which they've not so far done.
Look at what's happened in just really, the last couple of weeks. It's really kicked on. So we've had the undeniable truth about illegal migrant working and how prevalent that is. Now unequivocal proof about where they are spending some of their taxpayer-funded money on, i.e. casinos, or definitely on booze and things like that as well. You just know that anecdotally. You've also got official things now about widespread criminality at migrant hotels. You've had protests recently, some of which might have worked, actually, in the likes of Epping tonight, that news that they're going to recommend to the Home Office that they shut that hotel down. We've had a huge expose of what's going on in Calais, where for the £1 billion or whatever it is that we've sent the French, they've not even put a fence up between the largest migrant camp in northern France and the sea, and the French police are doing nothing to stop the human traffickers. All of this in the last couple of weeks, and now you've got this from yourselves as well, which is about the amount of taxpayers' money and incentives that is going to these illegal immigrants. This can't carry on, Max. It absolutely cannot carry on. We are, I think, through the great work that you guys are doing and other news outlets, as well as, of course, I think some of us here at GB News, I think we're having an impact, I think. So there we go. But Max, we're gonna leave it there. But thank you very much, Max Young from Guido Fawkes.
Thanks.
A Wandsworth Council spokesperson said, "We are committed to making Wandsworth a fairer place to live. Our Access for All scheme is Britain's most generous concessionary scheme and breaks down barriers to make sure all residents have an equal chance to access local opportunities." Oh, good, the Home Office have been on as well. They say the Home Office have begun an investigation into the use of Aspen cards. These are some of the cards that they dish out to people with a bit of money on them. The Home Office has a legal obligation to support asylum seekers, including any dependents who would otherwise be destitute. Wow. For how much longer, I wonder. But anyway, coming up, what's this Aussie guy on about?
People don't understand. They think the electricity comes out of space.
Yeah, he is now an international legend. Plus, I have got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. So, stay tuned.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're off on your holidays this week, let's take a look at the weather across Europe. So particularly hot for Italy and Greece, but further west, particularly windy for the Canary Islands and down the western coast of Portugal and in particularly the southwestern part of the Mediterranean. Thunderstorms for southeastern Spain, across France and northern Italy, but it's southern Italy and Greece that will be looking particularly hot, warmer than usual, and that heat is likely to last into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again, very good evening to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, as we go through the rest of today and into tomorrow, we have 2 zones of wet weather to watch out for. There's still some rain across parts of the southeast, but the front here is clearing away. Meanwhile, another front's coming in from the west, and that means we're going to see quite a bit of cloud feeding in across northern and western Scotland, also across Northern Ireland, and also a bit of wet weather coming in as we go through the early hours of tomorrow, albeit the rain's not looking particularly heavy. Elsewhere across much of the country, it's looking dry. There will be some clear skies around, but temperatures aren't going to drop a huge amount. It's pretty humid out there at the moment, and so with that, we could see some mist and fog patches developing in a few places. As we go through tomorrow morning then, apart from across some eastern, southeastern parts of Scotland, where there could be some sunshine, elsewhere it's going to be a fairly grey start and could be quite damp, a bit wet in some places, particularly towards the north and west. A similar story across Northern Ireland, quite cloudy with some outbreaks of rain. Much brighter though across much of England and Wales. Like I said, there could be some mist and fog first thing, but this should burn away pretty quickly. As we go through the day, however, that front is gradually going to feed a little bit further south and eastwards, so across parts of northwest England, around some coastal parts of Wales, and maybe even into Cornwall, things are going to turn cloudier and there could be some rain. Further northwest towards the northern western parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, some brighter spells, a few showers, but the best of the sunshine will be towards the south, where we're going to see temperatures peaking in the mid to high 20s Celsius. Looking ahead to the weekend, and it's going to be a bit showery at times. There'll be a swathe of showers feeding their way eastwards. These could turn quite heavy across parts of the southeast perhaps, and some more frequent showery bursts are likely towards the northwest, where it's going to be relatively breezy. And meanwhile, on Sunday, there will be some drier weather on offer, particularly towards more central parts.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
And
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. First look at tomorrow's newspaper front pages for you now. We start with the Daily Telegraph, and it's a big one. They go for farms close at record rate after inheritance tax raid. They say that more than 6,000 agricultural, forestry and fishing businesses shut in a year. Well, we'll get the detail on that. Let's go to the Daily Mail. I won't cave in to militant doctors. So tomorrow, or of course this will be Friday's front page, so, you know, today in that sense, the doctors' strike starts. A 5-day strike begins. West Streeting is talking quite punctually on the national press. West Streeting last night took aim at the leaders of today's striking doctors, whose 5-day walkout is set to inflict untold misery. Let's go to the Daily Express. Doctors' 5-day strike is a threat to lives. Resident medics walk out from today, poised to plunge the NHS into crisis. Yeah, that's on there. The Sun have got a great scoop again, and look, you just heard before when I was talking to Max from Guido about, which is that every single day now there is a new expose about the illegal migrant crisis. And this one is migrant gangs with free hotel rooms shoplift from top stores. They call it taking a liberty, and then they go for Gucci, Prada and John Lewis. They're taking the mick there out of Liberties of London, of course, one of the more prestigious stores. And it looks as though asylum seekers staying in taxpayer-funded hotels are swiping thousands of pounds of designer clobber from top stores. Let's go to the iPaper. UK ready to recognise Palestinian state in peace deal. Not just the UK, it has joined a few countries, including the French as well, who have done the same. The Metro. Oh, grief. Good luck, let's go. Dear Serena. Is this the front or the back page? It's the front page. They led with it. They've led with it. So here we go again. It's the final. It's, of course, the Lionesses in the Euros final. So good luck, girls. And The Guardian. Let aid in, pleads UN chief as even his staff faint from hunger in Gaza. Those are your front pages. Let's lead with the Daily Telegraph. They claim that farms are closing at a record rate because of what Labour have done with inheritance tax. Anna.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hardly surprising, is it? If you smack these family farms with inheritance tax on top of the crippling national insurance increase, well, obviously not all of them are going to be able to cope. You put them out of business. That's a disaster for the families, and it's a disaster for our jobs market, frankly. More than 6,000 agricultural, forestry and fishing businesses shut in 1 year. I mean, this Labour government has been an absolute disaster for our economy. I think we've had two months now on the trot of growth going backwards. You know, we can't afford this sort of incompetence.
OK, I'm just going to give a few of the stats here. So it says that the majority of these closures took place during the first 6 months of the year. So that was after the Chancellor announced in October that she would cut the amount of inheritance tax relief. In the same time, just 3,190 businesses in the sector have opened. So it's a net loss of 3,175. Matthew, I will come to you on this. So what do you think about this?
Well, I think it's a slightly misleading headline, because when you look at it, it's not necessarily farms. 6,000 businesses closed in the sector, 3,000 open. And I don't quite understand how the inheritance tax raid is meaning they're closing down, because they wouldn't be paying any inheritance tax if they closed down, whereas, you know, if it was a consequence of having had to pay it, frankly, it doesn't entirely make sense as a story. It's just an attempt to do it. It's not a family farm tax. It's a large landowner tax.
OK. I do think one thing that's quite interesting is this that piqued my interest earlier today. Oh, and I'm just getting this back up on my Twitter now, or X. So the guy who advised the government on how to shaft farmers has been given an award.
Shaft, is it?
Shafted them. Yeah. James Mee, he's called. He said he was proud and humbled to win HMRC's Expert of the Year award for 2025.
What's the prize?
Well, he's got a lanyard, probably, hasn't he? But this was for my work in providing ministers with the analysis they needed to announce several major inheritance tax reforms at last year's autumn budget, including restricting agricultural and business property relief. It goes on. Anyway, he's now won Expert of the Year award, and I can't help but wonder if the fruits of his labour are currently splashed all over the Telegraph's front page.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is that there's a tremendous emotional cost as well, I think, with this, because farms tend to be family businesses. I know, I take the point that you mentioned farming businesses, but this idea of passing it down from generation to generation, a lot of farmers they might be asset rich, but they're cash poor. And with the soaring costs of fertilisers, we've had droughts, we've had excessive rain, the actual cost of running a business like this is catastrophic. And then what Labour has done is just beyond reproach, and there's no sort of surprise here about this headline.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we're just getting some information through about Jeremy Corbyn's new party.
A name?
Have we got a name? It's like a new baby.
No, you've not got a name.
Split.
But it is rumoured that in under 10 hours, 140,000 people have signed up.
Oh, my gosh.
To Jeremy Corbyn's new party.
And they're all going to get a vote. on the name.
And also what about the 16-year-olds that will be able to vote at the next election? The thing is that Jeremy Corbyn still has, even though he's a friend of Hamas, he presided over institutionalised anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, all the repugnant things that we know. He's got this massive cult following. He's got that whole Glastonbury, Jeremy Corbyn demographic.
He does.
And I think in a landscape of very uninspiring politicians from the top down, then you can see that people are going to be drawn to him.
Are you sure this is still not quite worrying for Labour, Matthew? 140,000 people signing up to Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah, I think they might have signed up for an email. We're not sure they've actually parted with any hard-earned brass yet.
Yes.
But I mean, look, it will. I mean, there is a constituency out there, particularly for activists. I'm not sure it will translate into votes outside of heavily Muslim areas if they go in with the Gaza independence. And obviously, some of those 104,000 people might have been existing Labour members. They won't be Labour members for much longer if they join the new party. And obviously, they're people who would be expected to vote against Starmer in internal elections. So that might be a bit of relief for Starmer.
OK, all right. Look, when we come back, there are two of the big stories dominating the press here. One is the doctors' strike. The 5-day strike will start tomorrow. The other one is the Sun have done yet another illegal migrant expose, and they've delved into how many of them are nicking stuff from really prominent stores. So we'll talk about that when we come back.
Well, they might have probably immigrants in that.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
Poll, it doesn't surprise either Bev or I, shows that most Brits believe that Britain is in decline. 76% of us, though, did surprise. We fear political unrest and even violence.
And those fears come amid violent riots, of course, in Ballymena in Northern Ireland. They've left dozens of police officers injured and the area largely destroyed in some cases, particularly the local leisure centre.
Let's talk to our Northern Ireland reporter, Doogie Beattie. Doogie, this report comes on the back of sustained riots over, 6 days in the province?
They are putting undocumented immigrants into areas of high deprivation. There is a group here called Mears. 85% of their properties are in socially deprived areas, and those areas are now kicking back because in amongst those areas you have pensioners and so forth that have bought their houses back in the 80s. I spoke to a couple of them that were having to be moved out by their grandchildren.
We know that people are not happy with. I think first thing to say is that people are worried about their living standards. They think they've declined, and actually strikingly in a different part of the survey we found that 4 in 10 people feel like they were worse off since the COVID pandemic. That was actually particularly pronounced amongst reform voters, but overall people are very pessimistic about their personal finances and their cost of living. So I think that's a huge driver. We also know that people aren't happy with the government's handling of immigration, and actually going back to that question about what's affecting people's living standards, which I think is a much better way of getting at how people are feeling about things like the economy. People perceive, including Labour voters, including a sizable chunk of Labour voters, that immigration has had a negative impact on their living standards. And I do think we're starting to see that filter through into pessimism about the country as a whole.
GB News, the People's Channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racist tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome back. Let's do two more national newspapers. We've got The Times. They go with PM strikes pose threat to NHS as we know it. So both the Prime Minister and the Health Secretary are not in favour of the resident doctors' strikes. There is a picture story in the front of The Times of the King meeting Narendra Modi, India's leader. They met at Sandringham after the Prime Minister signed a free trade agreement worth £4.8 billion. Let's go to the Mirror. Britain must do more. Catastrophe in Gaza. Government told to act now to help stop starvation and slaughter. Keir Starmer was yesterday told to do more. There we go. I'm just trying to see why Emily Thornberry's got a picture there as well. She's told...
probably the one calling for to do more.
She's as it turns out, Matthew, you are right. She is calling for the government to do more. Yes. OK, right. So those are your front pages. The doctors' strike issue. It's on like 3 or 4 of the papers tomorrow. Massive. West Streeting and the Prime Minister against it. I mean, do you
read? They're tone deaf now, the doctors. I mean, I absolutely endorse the fact that we should pay our doctors a decent wage. They spend years studying. It's a very particular, singular ability to heal people and save lives. But they've had over the past 3 years, it's a near 30% pay rise. They've had inflation-busting pay increases that no other area of the public sector has had. I think that they're losing the support of the public. I don't think you'll be hearing horns tooting.
No.
I was reading the other day the number of cancer appointments alone that are going to be disrupted tomorrow. And if you remember, an appointment that's cancelled it doesn't exist in a vacuum. That means then the follow-ups, the operations, the procedures, the tests. So the disruption is massive. I have a friend who's a consultant who's working tomorrow on a junior doctor gig. Because the junior doctors aren't... What a waste of years.
If I saw any junior doctors striking, I'd just swear at them.
250.
I'd just swear at them.
250,000 appointments, I read earlier in the week, are being disrupted as a result of this.
People will die.
And people will die, and their pension entitlements are 23%. I mean, that's over double.
It is astonishing. I
can't afford it.
The police aren't allowed to strike. The army aren't allowed to strike. I do think because of the role doctors play, nobody can do that role. They shouldn't be allowed to strike.
So
certainly not in A&E.
So Matthew, what do you make of the response by both West Streeting and Sir Keir Starmer?
Well, I'm glad to see them standing firm. I think they've been very clever. Yesterday they were briefing to the papers that it's obviously that it was dividing the union movement, so that the nurses who have not had as significant a pay rise and who are not going on strike, and also I think you're absolutely right about losing public sympathy, because one of the outrageous things that happened over the last junior doctor strike, when they were called junior doctors, were now resident doctors, was that they then made up not some but not all of the appointments by massive overtime payments and agency work, which is just a disgrace. So I'm glad to see that the government's highlighting that. So I think every measure of public support that is plummeting. So I wonder how long the strike will actually last. I think you might see that support dwindles.
Yes, indeed. Well, we are very glad to have an extra hour doing the papers, because there are some corkers on the front page we've not had a chance to discuss yet, like the latest illegal migrant expose in The Sun. But I wanted to leave you with something that I think will put a smile on your face. I'm going to introduce you now to a man who is going to become the world's most famous farmer.
My next door neighbour, I was talking to him, he's a lawyer, so he's not an idiot. Well, he is a that's another problem. But he said, oh, that's right, you just put plugs along the highways. I said, but if you haven't got a source from a power station, plugs on the highways aren't going to do right? Do you understand me? The people don't understand. They think the electricity comes out of space.
So he was asked questions there about green energy, in case you couldn't tell, and that man is not a fan of it, is he there? That farmer saying, yeah, he's had enough of the green energy nightmare. Maybe he should do a sit-down interview with Ed Miliband. I'd quite enjoy watching that, but there we go. Well, look, thank you very much to our wonderful panel. We have got a corker of a show coming your way for late edition. These front pages are stellar. There's doctors' strikes, illegal migrants have been nicking a load of stuff from designer stores. The Sun are going to reveal everything about that. Apparently farmers are going out of business. They're blaming it on Labour. Well, there's certainly a lot on, so stay tuned.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello again, very good evening to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, as we go through the rest of today and into tomorrow, we have two zones of wet weather to watch out for. There's still some rain across parts of the southeast, but the front here is clearing away. Meanwhile, another front's coming in from the west, and that means we're going to see quite a bit of cloud feeding in across northern and western Scotland, also across Northern Ireland, and also a bit of wet weather coming in as we go through the early hours of tomorrow, albeit the rain's not looking particularly heavy. Elsewhere across much of the country, it's looking dry. There will be some clear skies around, but temperatures aren't going to drop a huge amount. It's pretty humid out there at the moment, and so with that, we could see some mist and fog patches developing in a few places. As we go through tomorrow morning then, apart from across some eastern, southeastern parts of Scotland, where there could be some sunshine, elsewhere it's going to be a fairly grey start and could be quite damp, a bit wet in some places, particularly towards the north and west. A similar story across Northern Ireland, quite cloudy with some outbreaks of rain. Much brighter though across much of England and Wales. Like I said, there could be some mist and fog first thing, but this should burn away pretty quickly. As we go through the day, however, that front is gradually going to feed a little bit further south and eastward, so across parts of northwest England, around some coastal parts of Wales, and maybe even into Cornwall, things are going to turn cloudier and there could be some rain. Further northwest towards the northern western parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, some brighter spells, a few showers, but the best of the sunshine will be towards the south, where we're going to see temperatures peaking in the mid to high 20s Celsius. Looking ahead to the weekend, and it's going to be a bit showery at times. There'll be a swathe of showers feeding their way eastwards. These could turn quite heavy across parts of the southeast perhaps, and some more frequent showery bursts are likely towards the northwest, where it's going to be relatively breezy. And meanwhile, on Sunday, there will be some drier weather on offer, particularly towards more central parts.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Well, on Late Edition, it turns out that illegal migrants have been stealing loads of stuff from designer stores. Another migrant catastrophe. The breaking news earlier as well was that it looks like the Bell Hotel in Epping might now actually be shut down. In other news on the front pages, though, loads of them are going off the doctor strikes, and the Telegraph are saying there's been a record year for farm closures, and they're blaming Labour. We've got all of that and much more, as well as a tribute to the one and only Hulk Hogan. Stay tuned.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash. So make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby D